What if the past is not silent, but simply unanswered? Across deserts, oceans, and mountains stand structures, artifacts, and cities that remain unresolved despite centuries of study. Precision without records. Complexity without instructions. Civilizations capable of shaping stone, tracking the sky, and building at impossible scales, then disappearing without explanation. Each discovery promises clarity, yet delivers more gaps. The deeper we look, the more incomplete the record becomes. History appears solid, but beneath it are fractures, missing chapters, lost knowledge, unresolved questions. Not errors, absences. And in those absences lie the limits of what we truly know about where we came from and how much has already slipped beyond reach.
What if the answers we seek have always been just beyond our grasp? Imagine, for a moment, that all the knowledge we have painstakingly gathered over centuries, our sciences, our discoveries, our understanding of the world, rests on a foundation of mysteries that remain unsolved. How many questions about our past still linger in the shadows, unanswered? How many truths remain hidden beneath layers of time, waiting for someone to uncover them? The past is full of such enigmas, and some of them seem to resist all our efforts to decode them. No matter how far we travel, how much we discover, there are things, ancient things, that continue to defy explanation. There are places on Earth where the soil itself holds secrets. There are relics of civilizations that seem to suggest knowledge we cannot fathom, tools too advanced for their time, and events too strange to fit into the tidy narrative of history. It's as if, with every step we take forward, we uncover more questions. With every answer we find, new mysteries emerge. In the quiet corners of the world, there are wonders that have stood the test of time. Stone monuments that, despite centuries of study, continue to defy the limits of human comprehension. Ancient structures that speak to us, but in a language we cannot fully understand. Every stone, every artifact, every discovery seems to offer us a glimpse into a past that was far more complex than we could have imagined. But why is it that, even with all the advancements in technology and knowledge, there are still pieces of the puzzle that elude us? What if the history we know is only a fraction of what was? What if, hidden in the dust of forgotten empires, there are entire civilizations whose stories were lost long before we were able to write our own? History is often presented to us as a neatly packaged timeline, but that timeline is full of gaps that we cannot ignore no matter how much we try to smooth them over. And what if those gaps hold the key to unlocking the true nature of our past? Some of these mysteries are not just historical curiosities. They're the type of enigmas that stir something deeper within us, something primal. We look at these questions, not just to satisfy our intellectual curiosity, but because they touch on something more profound. They hint at an unknown that is bigger than ourselves, something that connects us to a distant past. The people who built the pyramids, who left behind cryptic artifacts and abandoned cities, are no different from us. They lived, they loved, they struggled, and they sought answers to the same questions that we do now. But for some reason, their answers, if they ever had them, have been lost to time. Consider the pyramids of Giza. These monumental structures have fascinated people for centuries. Built with such precision and such grandeur that they almost seem to defy human ability, they rise from the desert like ancient sentinels, watching over the land. But how did the ancient Egyptians construct them? What methods did they use and why? Even today, experts cannot agree on how such colossal structures could have been created with the tools available to the ancient world. The more we learn about them, the less we seem to know. The answer remains elusive, like a dream that slips through our fingers just when we think we've grasped it. Some say they were built with simple ingenuity. Others argue they were the product of lost ancient technologies. But is there a deeper, hidden truth waiting to be uncovered? And then there's the legend of Atlantis, an island so rich in culture and wealth that it supposedly stood as a beacon of human achievement, only to be swallowed by the sea in a single night. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, has fascinated generations of explorers, historians, and dreamers. But is it just a myth, or could there be a grain of truth hidden in this tale? Some researchers believe that Atlantis might have been an actual place, one that existed long before recorded history, and that its disappearance could be linked to some cataclysmic event that we've yet to fully understand. Could there be ancient ruins waiting beneath the ocean's waves, offering a glimpse into a civilization that was lost to time? Or perhaps Atlantis is more than a physical place. It may represent a lost understanding of the world, a way of life that has long since vanished, leaving only fragments of its memory behind. Then there are the artifacts that defy logic, objects whose complexity and purpose cannot be easily explained. One such artifact is the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient device discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. Thought to date back to around 100 BCE, this mechanical device was used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses. Yet, the sophistication of the Antikythera mechanism suggests that the ancient Greeks, or whoever created it, possessed technological knowledge far beyond what was previously thought possible for their time. How could a civilization that is traditionally thought of as primitive create such an advanced piece of technology? Could it be that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than we realize? Or is the mechanism merely the result of some forgotten science, lost to history? The Nazca lines, etched into the desert floor in Peru, present another mystery that has baffled researchers for years. These enormous geometric shapes and images, most notably the figure of a giant hummingbird, are so vast that they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. But why were they created in the first place? Some suggest that the Nazca people used them for ceremonial purposes, while others theorize that the lines may have had astronomical significance, guiding ancient travelers or even communicating with beings from beyond our world. What if these lines were not just art or ritual, but a message, one that was intended to be seen from above, perhaps by gods or by visitors from distant lands? As we ponder these questions, we come to realize that history is not simply a record of events. It is a labyrinth of mysteries, each one more intriguing than the last. Every artifact, every structure, every legend offers us a glimpse into the vastness of human experience, one that we may never fully understand. And yet, there is something deeply human in our desire to solve these mysteries. We seek to know because we long to connect with the past, to uncover the stories of those who came before us. Perhaps, in the process, we are also seeking answers to our own questions, to understand ourselves, our purpose, and our place in the world. The human drive to explore, to understand, and to uncover the unknown is as ancient as humanity itself. And yet, with each mystery we uncover, we come to understand more about the vastness of the unknown that still remains. These enigmas from the past are more than just historical curiosities. They are part of a larger story, one that stretches across time and space and touches on something fundamental about our existence. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? To know that, despite all our progress, there are still so many questions about the past that we may never answer. But maybe that's okay. Maybe the true value of these mysteries lies not in their resolution, but in the sense of wonder and curiosity they inspire. They remind us that there's so much more to discover, not just about the world around us, but about ourselves. So, let's embark on this journey together, through time, through space, and through the pages of history. Let us open our minds to the enigmas that have confounded us for centuries, and perhaps, just perhaps, we will uncover a few more pieces of the puzzle. But even if we don't, let us remember that the mystery itself is a treasure, as valuable as any answer we might seek. Because in the end, it's not just the answers that matter, it's the search. The Great Pyramids of Giza stand silently in the Egyptian desert, their colossal forms rising from the sands as a testament to an ancient civilization's vision and ambition. Towering over the land, they have captivated humanity for thousands of years, standing as one of the most enduring symbols of ancient Egypt's power and mystery. They're the last of the seven wonders of the ancient world still standing. But despite all that has been written about them, despite centuries of study and excavation, the question remains, how were they built? And more unsettling still, why were they built? Each stone block of the pyramid weighs several tons, and the sheer scale of the construction suggests that it would have taken an unimaginable amount of resources, time, and human labor. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, the largest of the three, is composed of over 2 million limestone blocks and stands over 480 feet tall. Its alignment with the cardinal points is so precise that even modern-day engineers struggle to explain how such accuracy was achieved with the tools available at the time. How could an ancient civilization with limited technology create such an architectural marvel? And why does it continue to elude our understanding? Theories about the pyramid's construction vary widely. Traditional scholars argue that they were built by skilled laborers, working under the supervision of the pharaoh, using basic tools and simple, yet effective, methods. It is believed that the workers cut the stone blocks from quarries, transported them to the pyramid site, and stacked them in place, using ramps to lift them higher as the structure grew taller. But even this seemingly simple explanation raises more questions than it answers. How do they transport the massive stones? How do they lift them to such great heights? And why does the precision of the construction appear to be beyond what we would expect from the tools available at the time? In an attempt to answer these questions, some researchers have proposed the idea that the Egyptians used ramps, long, inclined surfaces that would allow workers to move the stone blocks up as the pyramid grew taller. The problem with this theory, however, is that no evidence of these ramps has ever been found, despite extensive excavations around the pyramids. Some suggest that the ramps were built and then dismantled after the pyramid was completed, but this remains purely speculative. Furthermore, the logistics of building such massive ramps, especially one that could reach the top of a pyramid that stands more than 400 feet tall, would have been an extraordinary challenge in itself. Other theories have ventured further into the realm of the fantastical. Some believe that the pyramids were not constructed by human hands alone, but were instead the result of advanced alien technology. According to this theory, extraterrestrials visited Earth thousands of years ago, bringing with them knowledge and technology that far exceeded anything the ancient Egyptians could have possessed. The idea of ancient astronauts has been a popular subject in both science fiction and alternative history circles, and while it may sound far-fetched, it does raise intriguing questions about the unexplained nature of the pyramids. Could there have been influences from beyond Earth, pushing human civilization forward in ways we cannot comprehend? Then there are those who believe that the pyramids were built using lost knowledge, perhaps a form of technology that was so advanced it was either destroyed or forgotten by the time the pyramids were completed. The precision of the pyramid's alignment, the near-perfect symmetry of the structures, and the mysterious properties of the stones themselves have led some to speculate that the ancient Egyptians had access to a kind of lost science, or even sacred geometry that allowed them to achieve what we now view as impossible. There are also those who believe that the pyramids were constructed for reasons beyond mere architectural achievement. The sheer scale of the pyramids suggests that they were not just tombs, but also monumental works of spiritual and cosmic significance. The precise alignment of the Great Pyramid with the stars, particularly with the constellation of Orion, suggests that the pyramid may have been intended to represent a connection between the pharaoh and the gods themselves. Some have speculated that the pyramids were built to align with the cycles of the stars and the seasons, perhaps as a way of tracking time or as a spiritual bridge between the earthly realm and the heavens. But no matter how many theories we examine, the fact remains that the true purpose and construction methods of the pyramids are still a mystery. Some believe that we may never know the full truth. The passage of time, the ravages of weather, and the shifting sands of the desert have all conspired to obscure the answers. The pyramids, it seems, are a riddle wrapped in the fabric of history, their secrets buried beneath the weight of millennia. One of the most intriguing aspects of the pyramids is their alignment with the stars. The Great Pyramid of Khufu is aligned so precisely with the cardinal directions that its sides face due north, south, east, and west with remarkable accuracy. The precision with which this alignment was achieved, without the use of modern tools or instruments, has confounded scientists for years. How could such accuracy have been accomplished by a civilization that lacked the technological tools to measure such things? Some have suggested that the Egyptians may have used the stars themselves to guide their construction, aligning the pyramid to specific celestial bodies. This idea is supported by the fact that the pyramids are closely aligned with the stars in the constellation of Orion, which was associated with the god Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The alignment with Orion is so precise that it suggests the Egyptians may have been able to observe and track the movements of the stars with a level of sophistication that was previously thought to be beyond their capabilities. The more we learn about the pyramids, the more questions arise. How did the Egyptians achieve such precision with limited tools? Did they possess a level of knowledge that has been lost to history? Were the pyramids simply monumental tombs, or were they part of a larger cosmic system, designed to align with the stars and mark the passage of time in ways we are only beginning to understand? Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is why the Egyptians chose to build such grand structures in the first place. Was it simply for the pharaohs, or was there a deeper spiritual or cosmic significance behind their construction? The pyramids may never fully reveal their secrets, but one thing is certain. They continue to captivate our imaginations and challenge our understanding of the past. Perhaps the greatest enigma surrounding the pyramids is the fact that, despite the passage of thousands of years, they have withstood the test of time in a way that most other ancient structures have not. The Great Pyramid, in particular, remains largely intact, despite the ravages of weather, earthquakes, and time itself. While other ancient wonders have crumbled into dust, the pyramids stand as an enduring symbol of ancient Egypt's power, mystery, and genius. But as we continue to study them, the more we realize how much we still don't know about them. Every new discovery only leads to more questions, reminding us that the pyramids are more than just monuments of stone. They're the keys to unlocking a past that remains tantalizingly out of reach. As we stand before the pyramids, gazing up at their towering forms, we are reminded that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. The pyramids, with all their grandeur and mystery, are a testament to the fact that there are questions about our past that may never be answered. And perhaps, in a way, that is what makes them so compelling. Their secrets remain just out of reach, keeping us searching, keeping us wondering. The legend of Atlantis is one of the most captivating tales ever told. For thousands of years, the story has been passed down through generations, evolving from myth to mystery, sparking imaginations and inspiring countless explorations. But could Atlantis have been more than just a fable? Could it have been a real place? A civilization so advanced, so prosperous, that its sudden disappearance continues to haunt the collective consciousness of humanity? The idea of a powerful empire lost beneath the waves, swallowed by the sea in a cataclysmic event, is a story that transcends time and culture. Yet, despite centuries of searching and countless theories, Atlantis remains elusive, an enigma, a riddle that refuses to be solved. The first mention of Atlantis comes from the writings of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. In two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, Plato describes a great and powerful civilization that existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. This civilization, Atlantis, was said to be a paradise, an island of unimaginable wealth, advanced technology, and sophisticated culture. It was a place of incredible beauty, where the land was fertile and the cities were magnificent. The Atlanteans were described as a noble and virtuous people, blessed with a golden age of prosperity. However, as with all great civilizations, their success turned into arrogance, and eventually their downfall came. The once great island of Atlantis was said to have sunk beneath the sea in a single day and night of catastrophic flooding and earthquakes. Plato's story has intrigued scholars, historians, and dreamers alike for millennia. Some view it as a parable, a cautionary tale about the dangers of hubris and the fragility of civilizations. Others believe that Plato's account was based on a real historical event, one that had been passed down through generations, distorted by time into myth. But if Atlantis was a real place, where could it have been located? And what happened to it? Over the years, a number of theories have emerged regarding the possible location of Atlantis. Some suggest that it was located in the Mediterranean, while others point to the Caribbean or the Americas. One of the most popular theories places Atlantis in the Mediterranean, near the Greek islands or in the vicinity of the island of Santorini. Santorini, with its caldera formed by a massive volcanic eruption, has been proposed as the site of Atlantis, with some believing that the destruction of the island's Minoan civilization could be the inspiration for the story of Atlantis. The eruption, which occurred around 1600 BCE, was one of the largest in recorded history, and it could have caused widespread destruction, triggering tsunamis and earthquakes that may have contributed to the downfall of a once great civilization. Another theory suggests that Atlantis was located in the Caribbean, near the Bahamas or the Bermuda Triangle. Proponents of this idea point to the fact that Plato described Atlantis as an island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which some interpret as referring to the area of the Atlantic Ocean. The Bermuda Triangle, with its reputation for mysterious disappearances and strange occurrences, has long been a source of fascination, and some believe that the region could hold the key to Atlantis's true location. Could the lost city lie beneath the waters of the Caribbean, waiting to be rediscovered? The idea is tantalizing, but it remains speculative at best, with little concrete evidence to support it. There are even more far-reaching theories that suggest Atlantis could have been located in the Americas, far beyond the Mediterranean or the Atlantic. One such theory posits that Atlantis was a pre-Columbian civilization in the Americas, perhaps in the region of the Caribbean or even as far as South America. Proponents of this theory point to ancient structures in places like the Yucatan Peninsula, the Amazon rainforest, and the Andes Mountains, suggesting that these sites could be the remnants of Atlantis. The idea that the Americas could have been home to a highly advanced civilization long before Columbus arrived seems far-fetched, but it challenges conventional ideas about the history of the Western Hemisphere. Could there have been a civilization here that was capable of constructing monumental cities and mastering advanced technology, only to be lost to the ages? Despite the many theories, there is no definitive proof that Atlantis ever existed. Plato's account remains the primary source of information about the island, and scholars have debated its authenticity for centuries. Some believe that Plato's story was purely allegorical, intended to serve as a moral lesson rather than a factual account of history. In Timaeus, Plato describes Atlantis as a civilization that became corrupt and greedy, ultimately falling from grace and being destroyed. The moral of the story, many believe, is that no civilization, no matter how advanced, is immune to the ravages of time and human folly. The tale of Atlantis, in this view, is less about a lost island and more about the cyclical nature of human history, the rise and fall of empires, the fleeting nature of prosperity. But for those who believe that Atlantis was a real place, the search continues. Throughout history, explorers, archaeologists, and even treasure hunters have sought to uncover the lost city, drawn by the allure of discovering something that could rewrite the history of human civilization. In the 19th and 20th centuries, expeditions were launched to search for Atlantis in places like the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and even Antarctica. However, these searches have yielded no conclusive results, and many dismiss the idea of Atlantis as nothing more than a myth. Still, the mystery persists, and the story continues to inspire a sense of wonder and curiosity. One of the most compelling aspects of the Atlantis legend is the idea that it represents a lost era of human history, an age of extraordinary achievements, where knowledge, art, and technology reach heights we can only dream of. Some theorists suggest that the Atlanteans possessed advanced knowledge in fields like astronomy, engineering, and energy production, far surpassing anything seen in later civilizations. Could the lost technologies of Atlantis hold the key to understanding the mysteries of our own time? What if the destruction of Atlantis was not just the end of civilization, but the loss of critical knowledge that could have propelled humanity to even greater heights? Yet, perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the Atlantis mystery is the idea that we may never find the answers we seek. The lost city may be buried beneath the ocean, hidden by the sands of time, or it may never have existed at all. But the allure of Atlantis is not just about the physical location of a city. It is about the idea of a lost civilization, an advanced culture that once stood at the pinnacle of human achievement, only to be wiped away in the blink of an eye. It represents our fear of losing everything we hold dear, and our desire to understand the forces that shape history. The search for Atlantis is not just a quest for a city. It is a search for meaning, for answers to questions that lie deep within the human soul. And so, the story of Atlantis continues to inspire us, to fuel our imaginations, and spark our curiosity. Whether or not the city was real, the legend endures, a reminder that the past is filled with mysteries that may never be solved. The idea of a lost civilization, hidden beneath the waves or lost to time, speaks to something fundamental within us, the desire to reach beyond the known, to seek the answers to the questions that haunt us. The story of Atlantis is not just a tale of a city that vanished. It is a story of the mysteries that lie at the heart of human history, waiting to be uncovered. And perhaps, in the end, it is the mystery itself that keeps us searching, ever hopeful that one day we might find the answers that have eluded us for so long. Beneath the waves of the Aegean Sea lies a discovery that has baffled scholars, scientists, and engineers for over a century: the Antikythera mechanism. Unearthed in 1901 from the wreckage of an ancient ship off the coast of the Greek island Antikythera, this ancient artifact has proven to be much more than just a shipwreck relic. It is, in fact, one of the most complex and mysterious devices ever discovered, an analog computer thought to have been constructed around 100 BCE. The intricacy of its design and the advanced technological knowledge required to create it have caused experts to reconsider what we know about ancient civilizations. How could a device this sophisticated exist at such an early point in history? Was it the product of a genius inventor, or is it evidence of a lost technological age, one that possessed knowledge far beyond what we previously thought possible? The Antikythera mechanism is composed of a series of bronze gears and dials, all intricately arranged in a compact, rectangular frame. For decades, scientists were unsure of its purpose, and many assumed it was just a curious, albeit complex, artifact with no clear function. It wasn't until the 1950s that researchers began to understand the true significance of the mechanism. Using advanced imaging technology, scientists revealed the full extent of the device's gears and inscriptions, and it soon became apparent that the mechanism was far more than just a simple clock or calendar. It was an astronomical device, capable of tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. The most remarkable feature of the Antikythera mechanism is its ability to predict astronomical phenomena, such as eclipses and the cycles of the moon and the planets, which were used to navigate the seas and guide agricultural activities. But how could the ancient Greeks, living in an age without modern machinery or computers, have created such a device? The sophistication of the mechanism challenges the very foundation of our understanding of ancient technology. Prior to the discovery of the Antikythera mechanism, historians believe that the ancient Greeks had no mechanical technology on par with that of later civilizations, such as the Romans or the Chinese. The idea that the Greeks had mastered gear-driven technology, something that didn't appear in Europe again until the Middle Ages, was almost inconceivable. And yet, here it was, a tangible relic of a past that hinted at lost knowledge and ingenuity. The complexity of the mechanism has led many to question how such technology could have been developed in the ancient world. Some theorists argue that the Antikythera mechanism was a product of a highly advanced civilization, one that possessed knowledge of mechanics and astronomy far ahead of its time. This theory is supported by the remarkable precision of the device, with its gears meshing seamlessly to calculate celestial movements with an accuracy that would be impressive even by modern standards. Some suggest that the Antikythera mechanism may have been part of a broader tradition of lost technologies, tools, devices, and systems that were far more advanced than the written record suggests. One possibility is that the mechanism was the result of knowledge passed down from even more ancient civilizations. The ancient Greeks, after all, were not the only ones with a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and mechanics. Civilizations, such as the Babylonians and Egyptians, had long tracked the movements of the stars and planets, developing intricate calendars and systems of timekeeping. It's possible that the Greeks inherited or adapted this knowledge, incorporating it into their own technological advancements. The Antikythera mechanism could represent a culmination of centuries of astronomical study, a device built to serve a specific function in a society that was increasingly reliant on celestial navigation and timekeeping. But could there be another explanation? Some have speculated that the Antikythera mechanism represents evidence of a lost civilization altogether, one that existed before the rise of ancient Greece, whose knowledge was passed down through secretive channels. This theory posits that the mechanism is not just a product of Greek ingenuity, but rather a remnant of an even older technological tradition. Could the device have been crafted by a civilization whose knowledge of astronomy and mechanics was so advanced that it has left no trace in the historical record? The idea of a lost civilization, with technologies far more sophisticated than anything we've discovered, has long been a subject of intrigue. Could the Antikythera mechanism be the last surviving remnant of this forgotten civilization, a relic left behind by a people whose knowledge was erased from history? There's also the possibility that the Antikythera mechanism was an isolated creation, the work of an exceptionally gifted individual who created a device that was far ahead of its time. The idea of a lone genius inventing a device like the Antikythera mechanism is not without precedent in history. Throughout the ages, there have been inventors and visionaries who created technologies that seemed out of step with their era. Some have even suggested that the mechanism could have been the work of Archimedes, the great Greek mathematician and engineer. Archimedes was known for his work in geometry, mechanics, and astronomy, and it's possible that he, or another brilliant mind of the time, created the mechanism as a tool to better understand the movements of the heavens. However, the true identity of the inventor, or the exact purpose of the Antikythera mechanism, remains a mystery. Some historians believe that it may have been used as a tool for religious or ceremonial purposes, perhaps to track the movements of the gods or to mark important religious festivals. Others believe it was primarily a practical tool for sailors, helping them navigate the seas by predicting the positions of the stars and planets. The possibility that it could have been used for both purposes, astronomical observation and navigation, suggests that it was a highly versatile device, capable of serving multiple functions. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism has raised more questions than it has answered, but has also opened up new avenues of research and exploration. Scientists continue to study the device, using advanced imaging techniques and simulations to learn more about its inner workings. In recent years, researchers have even built replicas of the mechanism, using the same materials and tools that would have been available to the ancient Greeks. These replicas have provided valuable insights into how the device may have been constructed and operated, further revealing the ingenuity of its design. Yet, despite the advances in our understanding of the Antikythera mechanism, there is still so much we don't know. How widespread was the knowledge of such technology in the ancient world? Was the mechanism unique, or were there other similar devices lost to time? And perhaps most importantly, what does the existence of the Antikythera mechanism tell us about the capabilities of ancient civilizations? Could it be that we are only beginning to scratch the surface of their technological achievements? The Antikythera mechanism, with its intricate gears and precise calculations, challenges our assumptions about the technological limitations of the ancient world, and it leaves us with a profound sense of wonder about the knowledge that may have been lost forever. In the end, the Antikythera mechanism is more than just a fascinating relic of the past. It is a reminder that history is not as straightforward as we often assume. There are gaps in our knowledge, mysteries that refuse to be solved, and technologies that have slipped through the cracks of time. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism invites us to look beyond the familiar narrative of human progress and consider the possibility that our understanding of the past is incomplete. Perhaps, buried beneath the layers of history, there are even greater discoveries waiting to be made, discoveries that will force us to rethink everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. The Antikythera mechanism is a puzzle, one that continues to intrigue and challenge us, and its secrets may still have much to teach us about the lost technologies of the past. In the arid, windswept deserts of Peru, an extraordinary mystery stretches across the earth, a series of massive, geometric lines and shapes, some of which are so vast that they can only be truly appreciated from the sky. These lines, known as the Nazca Lines, have puzzled archaeologists, scientists, and explorers for decades. Stretching across the desert floor, these ancient geoglyphs range from simple lines to complex, highly stylized shapes of animals, plants, and even human figures. But the question remains, why did the ancient Nazca people create such monumental works? And how were they able to construct them with such precision and scale? More perplexing still, what purpose did these lines serve, and why were they etched into the desert thousands of years ago, with no clear answer for their meaning? The first of the lines were discovered in the 1920s, and ever since, they have captured the imaginations of people around the world. The lines themselves cover an area of over 50 square kilometers, with more than 800 straight lines, 300 geometric shapes, and 70 animal and plant figures. Some of the more well-known figures include a hummingbird, a monkey, a spider, and a whale. These geoglyphs are not simple carvings or drawings. They are vast in their proportions, with some lines stretching over several kilometers. The shapes and figures are so large that they can only be fully appreciated from the air, leading many to wonder whether the Nazca people were aware of how their works would appear from above. The Nazca civilization flourished between 500 BCE and 500 CE in the southern coastal region of Peru, a time when the desert was far more fertile than it is today. The lines were made by removing the top layer of reddish-brown rocks to reveal the lighter-colored earth beneath. This method created a contrast that made the design stand out starkly against the desert floor. The lines, which are relatively shallow, only a few inches deep, were created using simple tools and, most likely, human labor. Despite their simplicity, the designs are executed with remarkable accuracy and consistency, and the scale of the figures is truly awe-inspiring. How could a culture, so seemingly isolated in time and place, produce such an intricate and vast network of geoglyphs without the benefit of modern technology or aerial photography? One of the most intriguing questions surrounding the Nazca Lines is the purpose behind their creation. Some scholars believe that the lines were created for religious or ceremonial reasons. The desert, with its vast emptiness, would have been an ideal location for large-scale rituals and ceremonies, which may have been aimed at appeasing the gods or securing agricultural prosperity. The figures themselves, many of which represent animals and plants, might have symbolized the forces of nature, with the hope that invoking them would bring blessings of rain and fertility to the land. The Nazca people, after all, lived in an area with a harsh and unpredictable climate, where the threat of drought was ever present. The lines could have served as a kind of prayer, a way to communicate with the divine and ask for the life-giving rain that the crops so desperately needed. Others suggest that the Nazca Lines were created as part of a more complex system of astronomical observation. The precision with which some of the lines align with celestial events, such as solstices and equinoxes, has led many to theorize that the lines were intended to mark the movements of the stars, the sun, and the moon. It is believed that the Nazca people were keenly aware of the cycles of the heavens and used the lines as a way to track time and guide their agricultural activities. This theory is supported by the fact that many of the lines and figures are aligned with certain celestial bodies, such as the sun and the stars in the constellation of Orion. Could these lines have been used as astronomical calendars, helping the Nazca people to predict the changing seasons and guide their farming activities? If so, it would suggest that the Nazca civilization possessed an understanding of the heavens that was both sophisticated and highly advanced for its time. Another theory posits that the lines were created as a kind of pilgrimage route. Some researchers believe that the lines may have been designed to be walked or followed as part of a religious or spiritual journey. The process of walking the lines or traveling along the pathways between the figures could have been an important ritual, a form of communion with the gods or with the spiritual forces of nature. In this view, the lines are less about astronomy or agriculture and more about the experiential, sacred nature of the land itself. The desert, with its vast emptiness, could have been a symbolic space where the boundaries between the earthly and the divine were blurred, and the act of walking the lines may have been a way of connecting with the spiritual realm. Yet, despite the many theories about their purpose, the Nazca lines remain shrouded in mystery. No written records have been found that explain their meaning, and no surviving accounts from the Nazca people themselves have provided any clues. This lack of concrete evidence has led some to speculate that the true purpose of the lines may have been something far more profound, something that remains hidden from modern understanding. Could the lines have served as a form of communication with beings from other worlds? The sheer scale and complexity of the geoglyphs, along with the apparent need for a viewpoint that only the sky could provide, have led some to suggest that the Nazca people may have been attempting to send a message into the cosmos, or perhaps to communicate with extraterrestrial visitors. This theory, while speculative, is not entirely without precedent. Ancient cultures around the world have left behind strange and enigmatic symbols, some of which appear to be directed toward the heavens. The idea that early civilizations may have had contact with advanced beings from other worlds is one that has gained popularity in certain circles. The Nazca lines, with their vast, otherworldly designs, could be seen as an example of such communication, an effort by the ancient Nazca people to reach beyond the Earth, toward the unknown. While the idea of extraterrestrial influence is one that stretches the boundaries of the imagination, there are more grounded explanations for the line's mysterious qualities. Some researchers have pointed to the advanced engineering skills of the Nazca people, suggesting that the lines are an example of their ingenuity in utilizing the natural landscape to create a lasting cultural mark. The Nazca civilization, after all, was known for its ability to work with the land, constructing sophisticated water systems, underground aqueducts, and large ceremonial sites. The lines could be seen as an extension of this same creative spirit, a grand, landscape-scale work of art that served both practical and spiritual purposes. The mysteries surrounding the Nazca lines are compounded by the fact that they remain largely unexplained. While modern technology has allowed for detailed mapping and analysis, much of the deeper meaning behind the lines remains hidden. No definitive answer has emerged to explain why the Nazca people created such massive works of art in the first place, or why they chose to make them in such an inaccessible and remote part of the desert. As time passes, the lines continue to stand in silence, etched into the land like a message from the past, waiting to be understood. What makes the Nazca lines so captivating is not just their scale or beauty, but their ability to stir the imagination. They beckon us to consider the mysteries of the past, to ask questions about the civilizations that came before us, and to challenge our assumptions about what ancient peoples were capable of. Despite the theories, despite the technological advances, the Nazca lines remain an enigma, one that continues to confound our understanding and invite us into the timeless, uncharted realms of human creativity and mystery. In the heart of the dense, mist-covered jungles of Central America, there lies a massive, ancient city, shrouded in mystery and hidden beneath layers of vegetation. Known as Teotihuacan, this colossal site, once a thriving metropolis, has puzzled archaeologists and historians for centuries. Who were the builders of Teotihuacan? What happened to its civilization? And perhaps most curiously, what was the purpose behind the city's staggering scale and the grandeur of its monuments? Though the city flourished for centuries, its true origins, the identity of its creators, and the reasons for its abrupt abandonment remain elusive, leaving behind only its grand structures and a legacy of unanswered questions. Teotihuacan, which means the place where the gods were created in the Nahuatl language, is home to some of the most impressive and enigmatic architectural feats of the ancient world. At its height, the city sprawled across more than 20 square kilometers, housing a population of perhaps 100,000 or more. The city's grid-like layout, with its wide avenues, monumental pyramids, and large plazas, suggests a level of urban planning and sophistication that was ahead of its time. Among its most famous landmarks are the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Each structure towering over the cityscape, their significance still the subject of much debate. The Pyramid of the Sun is particularly intriguing. Standing at 66 meters tall, it was the largest building in Teotihuacan and one of the largest pyramids in the world. The precision with which it was built, the materials used, and its alignment with celestial events have led many to wonder about the knowledge and expertise of the builders. Why was the pyramid constructed in such a location? And why was it built to such an enormous scale? It is believed that the pyramid was dedicated to the sun, but the sheer size and complexity of the structure suggest that its meaning and purpose were far deeper, perhaps tied to astronomical, spiritual, or even ritualistic practices. The Pyramid of the Moon, located at the northern end of the city, is equally captivating. Smaller in stature, but equally striking, the pyramid is believed to have been a site of ritual sacrifices, and evidence suggests that it was dedicated to the moon goddess. The alignment of the pyramid, like the Pyramid of the Sun, is believed to be closely linked to celestial events, including the movements of the moon and stars. The city's creators clearly had a deep understanding of astronomy, and it is possible that Teotihuacan was designed with great attention to the stars and their movements, a city built not just as a physical place, but as a representation of the cosmos itself. However, it is not just the scale and grandeur of Teotihuacan's architecture that raises questions. It is the city's mysterious and sudden collapse. By the end of the 6th century CE, the city, once a vibrant hub of culture and power, was abandoned. The reasons for this collapse remain unclear. Some scholars speculate that internal social upheaval, political instability, or resource depletion could have led to the city's downfall. Others suggest that environmental factors, such as prolonged droughts, may have played a role. Yet, despite decades of research, no single explanation fully accounts for the disappearance of one of the most powerful civilizations in Mesoamerica. What is perhaps most confounding is the absence of clear evidence regarding the identity of the people who built Teotihuacan. While it is widely accepted that the city was constructed by a group of people with significant architectural, astronomical, and engineering expertise, no definitive records exist to tell us who they were. The builders of Teotihuacan left behind no inscriptions or written records, and very little is known about their language, customs, or society. Unlike other civilizations of the time, such as the Maya or the Olmec, the Teotihuacanos did not leave behind a written language, leaving only their monumental city and art as traces of their culture. This lack of documentation has left historians with only speculation to guide their theories. There are, however, some clues that may help us understand who the Teotihuacanos were. One prominent theory suggests that Teotihuacan was not the product of a single, unified people, but rather the result of a merging of different ethnic and cultural groups. This would explain the city's unusual diversity, as evidenced by the varying styles of art, architecture, and even religious iconography found at the site. It is possible that Teotihuacan was a melting pot of sorts, a place where different cultures came together, coexisted, and created a unique and powerful civilization. The diversity of the people of Teotihuacan, coupled with the city's lack of written records, maybe why the civilization's identity remains so elusive. Some theories suggest that Teotihuacan may have been ruled by a powerful priesthood, a group of spiritual leaders who held sway over the people through religious and ritual practices. The elaborate temples, pyramids, and sacrificial altars point to a society deeply tied to religion and the cosmos. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent, for instance, is thought to have been a site for ritual sacrifices, including the sacrifice of humans. This, coupled with the city's celestial alignments and the possible use of the city as an astronomical observatory, suggests that the Teotihuacanos had an intricate understanding of the heavens and sought to align their city and rituals with the cosmic order. It is also possible that Teotihuacan's creators were not solely concerned with religion or the cosmos, but with commerce and political power. Some researchers suggest that Teotihuacan may have been a major trading hub, with its inhabitants controlling a vast network of goods that flowed through Mesoamerica. The city's central location, its grand architecture, and its apparent control over surrounding territories could point to a people who sought not only spiritual enlightenment, but also political and economic dominance. The sudden collapse of the city may have been the result of political strife, as rival factions fought for control, or it could have been due to external pressures, such as invasions by neighboring peoples. Yet, despite all the speculation, Teotihuacan remains a mystery. Archaeological digs continue to unearth new discoveries, from murals depicting ritual practices to the remains of sacrificial victims. But no definitive answers have been found to explain why the city was abandoned, why its people left, or who they were. The absence of written records only adds to the enigma, leaving us with a city of breathtaking beauty and complexity, but no clear understanding of the people who built it. What makes Teotihuacan even more compelling is that, like so many other ancient sites, it challenges our assumptions about the capabilities of ancient civilizations. How could a people without advanced technology, without written language, have constructed such a grand and intricately planned city? How could they have aligned the pyramids with celestial bodies so precisely? And why did they choose to build a city so grand that its ruins would outlast them by centuries? These questions not only spark our curiosity, but also remind us that there is so much we still don't know about the ancient world. Perhaps, in the end, Teotihuacan's greatest mystery lies in its silence. It is a city that speaks to us not through written records or language, but through its monuments, its architecture, and the ghosts of its people. It is a city that calls us to ponder the nature of civilization itself, to question the forces that shape human history, and to recognize that there are still many parts of our past that remain hidden, waiting to be uncovered. Even as we study its ruins and admire its grandeur, we must accept that Teotihuacan, like so many ancient wonders, may hold its secrets forever, mysterious, enduring, and just out of reach. In the remote corners of the world, on the windswept plains of Easter Island, stands a mystery that has fascinated explorers, archaeologists, and historians for centuries. The Moai statues, monolithic figures that tower over the island, are both awe-inspiring and enigmatic. These massive stone heads, some weighing several tons and standing as tall as 30 feet, have captured the collective imagination of humanity. Yet, the story of these statues and the civilization that created them remains a puzzle. Who carved these colossal figures, and what was their purpose? And, perhaps most perplexingly, how did the ancient people of Easter Island, with their limited resources, manage to transport and erect these giant statues in such remote and challenging conditions? The answers to these questions are elusive, leaving behind only the statues, silent sentinels of a lost civilization, whose secrets have yet to be fully unraveled. Easter Island, known as Rapa Nui to its inhabitants, is one of the most isolated places on Earth. Located in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, it is roughly 2,300 miles from the nearest populated landmass. Despite its isolation, the island's history is rich, its culture profound, and its monuments staggering in their scale and complexity. The Moai statues are perhaps the most enduring symbols of Easter Island, with nearly 900 of them scattered across the island. Each statue is a unique representation of the human form, with exaggerated facial features, large heads, and elongated bodies. They were carved from volcanic tuff, a soft, porous rock found in the island's Reno Raraku crater, where the majority of the statues were created. The Moai statues are often associated with the ancient Rapa Nui people, who are believed to have arrived on Easter Island sometime around 800 CE. These early settlers are thought to have come from Polynesia, bringing with them their knowledge of navigation, agriculture, and art. Over the centuries, the Rapa Nui people developed a sophisticated society with a complex social structure, religious practices, and, of course, their distinctive art, most notably the Moai statues. The Moai were originally placed on platforms called ahu, which served both as the base of the statues and as ceremonial altars. The statues were positioned with their faces directed inland, symbolizing their role as protectors of the island's inhabitants. It is believed that the Moai represented the spirits of deceased ancestors, with the statues serving as a means of honoring and communicating with the dead. The larger the statue, the more powerful the ancestor it represented, and it was thought that these ancestors could bestow blessings, fertility, and protection upon the living. But the construction and transportation of these giant stone figures pose one of the greatest mysteries of Easter Island. The Moai statues can weigh up to 80 tons, and the task of carving and moving them seems almost impossible given the island's limited resources. How did the Rapa Nui people manage to carve, transport, and erect such massive statues with nothing more than rudimentary tools? Some have suggested that the Moai were carved in situ at the quarry in Reno Raraku, and then transported to their final locations using a system of ropes and manpower. This theory posits that the statues were walked to their locations, with teams of people pulling the statues upright by rocking them back and forth in a coordinated motion. While this theory seems plausible, there is no definitive evidence to confirm it, and it remains a subject of debate. Another theory suggests that the statues were transported using a system of wooden sleds, rollers, and ropes. According to this theory, the Moai were loaded onto sleds and then dragged across the island to their final resting places. The use of rollers and sledges would have helped distribute the weight of the statues and made the transportation process more efficient. However, the sheer scale of the statues and the difficulty of moving them over uneven terrain raises questions about the practicality of this method. Some researchers also argue that the wooden sled theory is unlikely, given that the island's forests, which could have been used for construction, were largely deforested by the time the Moai were being erected. The deforestation of Easter Island is another puzzle in the Moai mystery. When the first European explorers arrived on the island in the 18th century, they found a barren, treeless landscape. This was in stark contrast to accounts from earlier Polynesian explorers, who had described the island as being covered in lush forests. What caused the island's deforestation? Some researchers suggest that the Rapa Nui people themselves are to blame. As the population grew, the demand for wood increased, leading to widespread deforestation. The wood was used for a variety of purposes, including the construction of canoes, houses, and tools, as well as for transporting the Moai statues. Over time, the deforestation may have led to soil erosion and a collapse of the island's ecosystem, contributing to the decline of the Rapa Nui civilization. This ecological collapse is thought to have played a significant role in the eventual downfall of the Moai project. As the island's resources dwindled, it became increasingly difficult to maintain the labor-intensive work required to carve and transport the statues. Some scholars argue that the competition between different clans, each striving to build larger and more impressive Moai, may have led to a form of social and environmental collapse. The scarcity of resources and the collapse of the Moai building tradition are thought to have contributed to the eventual decline of the Rapa Nui society, culminating in the island's political and social breakdown. The collapse of the Moai tradition is closely linked to the arrival of European explorers and the introduction of outside diseases, which decimated the island's population. By the 19th century, the Rapa Nui people had been severely weakened, and their once thriving civilization had all but disappeared. The Moai statues, once symbols of power and divine protection, were toppled and abandoned, their faces turned away from the people they were meant to protect. In the years since, the Moai statues have become symbols of the mystery and tragedy of Easter Island. Their sheer size and the ingenuity required to create and transport them are awe-inspiring, but they also stand as a reminder of the fragility of civilizations. The rise and fall of the Rapa Nui society and the story of the Moai statues offer a cautionary tale about the dangers of environmental degradation, overexploitation of resources, and the inevitable consequences of societal collapse. Yet, despite the hardships that the Rapa Nui people faced, the Moai statues continue to stand as a testament to their creativity, resilience, and spiritual beliefs. Even though their civilization declined, the Moai have endured, their stone faces watching over the island as they have for centuries. The mystery of how the statues were built and transported remains unsolved, but perhaps it is the very mystery itself that gives the Moai their power. They are not just relics of a lost civilization. They're symbols of the human spirit, of the desire to create, to worship, and to leave a lasting mark on the world. In the end, the Moai statues of Easter Island stand not only as marvels of ancient engineering, but as silent witnesses to a culture's rise and fall. The island's past, with all its mysteries and unanswered questions, continues to intrigue and captivate us. And as long as the Moai remain, they will continue to challenge our understanding of the past, inviting us to explore the limits of human ingenuity and the enduring power of ancient cultures. Even as the world changes, the Moai's gaze remains constant, a reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding, waiting to be uncovered. High in the Andes Mountains, hidden among the clouds, there exists a ruin that has confounded explorers and scholars alike for centuries. The site is known as Machu Picchu, an ancient Inca city that remains one of the most iconic and mysterious archaeological discoveries in the world. Despite being one of the most famous historical sites on Earth, the full story of Machu Picchu, its creators, and its purpose continues to elude us. What led the Incas to build such a remote and awe-inspiring city in such a seemingly impossible location? What was its purpose, and why was it abandoned? These questions have haunted the minds of those who have studied this majestic site, and yet the answers remain as hidden as the city itself once was, cloaked in the mist of time. Machu Picchu sits perched on a narrow ridge at an altitude of about 7,970 feet, surrounded by steep cliffs and lush forests. It was unknown to the outside world until its rediscovery in 1911 by the American explorer Hiram Bingham, though it had been abandoned long before then. The city is a marvel of engineering, with a complex network of terraces, water channels, temples, and buildings, all expertly constructed with massive stone blocks that fit together so precisely that not even a knife blade can slip between them. The quality of the masonry, the careful planning of the site, and the integration with the natural landscape suggest a highly advanced and sophisticated civilization. Yet little is known about the people who built it and why they chose such a remote location. The Inca Empire, which reached its peak in the 15th and early 16th centuries, was known for its impressive architectural feats, but Machu Picchu stands out as one of the most remarkable examples of Inca engineering. Unlike other Inca cities, which were situated in more accessible areas, Machu Picchu was deliberately hidden, nestled on a narrow mountaintop in a place that was difficult to reach. The site's location is so remote that it is almost as if the city was deliberately isolated from the rest of the empire. The question of why the Incas chose such an isolated and difficult location remains one of the most enduring mysteries. The most widely accepted theory is that Machu Picchu was a royal estate, a retreat for the Inca Emperor Pachacuti, who is believed to have commissioned its construction in the mid-15th century. Pachacuti, a visionary ruler, is credited with expanding the Inca Empire to its greatest extent, and it is thought that Machu Picchu served as a luxurious getaway, far removed from the hustle and bustle of the capital city of Cusco. The city's layout, with its carefully organized terraces, ceremonial spaces, and residences, supports the idea that it was intended as a royal residence, possibly even a religious sanctuary. Many of the structures at Machu Picchu are aligned with astronomical events, such as the solstices, suggesting that the city may have had an important ceremonial or religious function. Despite this theory, there is still much about Machu Picchu that remains unclear. One of the most puzzling aspects of the site is its apparent abandonment. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the Andes in the 16th century, they encountered the Inca Empire at its height. Yet, Machu Picchu was never found or mentioned by the Spanish invaders, suggesting that it may have been abandoned by the Incas long before the arrival of the Europeans. Some scholars speculate that the site was abandoned due to the outbreak of disease or civil war, which decimated the Inca population. Others argue that Machu Picchu may have been abandoned for more practical reasons, such as its location being too difficult to sustain long-term habitation. Regardless of the reason, the city's abandonment has left historians and archaeologists with a lingering sense of incompleteness, as if the story of Machu Picchu had been interrupted before its final chapter could be written. Adding to the mystery of Machu Picchu is the fact that no written records exist that explain the purpose of the city or provide details about its construction. The Incas, unlike many ancient civilizations, did not use a written language, and much of their history has been passed down through oral traditions. As a result, much of what we know about Machu Picchu comes from the study of the site itself and the accounts of early explorers. The absence of written records has left many questions unanswered. Why did the Incas choose such a remote location? Was it a religious center, a military outpost, or a royal retreat? Could have been all of these things. The lack of documentation forces us to rely on speculation and interpretation, and many of the theories surrounding Machu Picchu are based on circumstantial evidence rather than concrete facts. One of the most intriguing aspects of Machu Picchu is its advanced engineering and construction techniques. The Incas were known for their expertise in stonework, and the buildings at Machu Picchu are a testament to their skill. The stones used to construct the city were carefully cut and shaped to fit together without mortar, a technique known as ashlar masonry. The precision with which the stones were cut and placed is so exact that many of the walls have remained intact for centuries, despite the harsh weather and frequent earthquakes in the region. The Incas also used a sophisticated system of terraces to prevent erosion and maximize the use of the land for agriculture. The agricultural terraces at Machu Picchu are not only a marvel of engineering, but also a testament to the Incas' ability to adapt to the challenging mountainous terrain. The advanced engineering of Machu Picchu raises another question. Could the site have been constructed with knowledge that was lost to time? The Incas' ability to build such a complex city with limited tools and resources is a remarkable feat, leading some to wonder if they possessed knowledge of construction techniques and engineering principles that have since been forgotten. Could there have been an advanced civilization before the Incas, one whose knowledge was passed down through the generations, only to be lost in the mists of history? This theory, though speculative, fits with the idea that Machu Picchu, like many other ancient wonders, was built using techniques that were ahead of its time. While the precise purpose of Machu Picchu may never be fully understood, what is clear is that it holds profound spiritual and cultural significance. The site is thought to have been a place of religious worship, with many of its structures aligning with celestial events. The Intihuatana stone, often referred to as the hitching post of the sun, is a particularly enigmatic feature of the site. This carved stone pillar, which stands at the highest point of the city, is believed to have been used in rituals to mark the changing of the seasons and track the movements of the sun. The stone's purpose remains unclear, but it is thought to have been an important tool for the Incas' astronomers and priests. Machu Picchu's isolation, its stunning construction, and its connection to the cosmos have contributed to the enduring fascination with the site. For centuries, it remained hidden from the outside world, known only to a few locals and the Inca elite. Its rediscovery by Hiram Bingham in the early 20th century brought it to international attention, and since then, it has become a symbol of ancient wisdom, a beacon for historians, archaeologists, and travelers alike. But as much as we have learned about Machu Picchu, much still remains a mystery. The city stands as a testament to the ingenuity and spirit of the Inca people, yet its true purpose and meaning continue to elude us, inviting future generations to seek answers in the mists of time. What is clear, however, is that Machu Picchu, with its breathtaking beauty and architectural wonder, will continue to inspire awe and wonder for centuries to come. The silence of its stone structures holds echoes of a civilization long gone, but its mysteries, its purpose, its builders, and its place in history will forever remain a challenge to our understanding, leaving us with a sense of awe that transcends time and space. Deep within the dense jungles of Central America, in the heart of present-day Honduras, lies one of the most elusive and mysterious archaeological sites in the world, the lost city of the monkey god. For centuries, this city remained lost to all but the local indigenous people, its existence only whispered about in legend and folklore. Known as the City of the Monkey God, it was said to be a place of unimaginable wealth, surrounded by lush forests and teeming with treasures beyond belief. Yet, despite its prominence in local myths, the city's location remained a mystery, lost in the pages of history, until the early 21st century. The city's rediscovery and the mysterious elements that still surround it have raised questions about the extent of ancient civilizations in Central America and what secrets may still lie buried beneath the thick canopy of the jungle. The story of the lost city of the monkey god began long before its rediscovery by explorers and archaeologists. For centuries, locals spoke of an ancient city hidden in the mountains of the Mezquitia region in Honduras, a place where vast treasures lay buried beneath the trees. According to legend, the city was cursed. Its riches were said to bring misfortune to anyone who tried to uncover them. But the allure of the city was undeniable. Explorers, archaeologists, and adventurers alike were drawn to the mystery of this fabled place. The city's name, the Lost City of the Monkey God, comes from the many representations of monkeys found in the art and iconography of the site, suggesting that the city may have had a religious or cultural significance linked to these creatures. The search for the lost city of a monkey god began in earnest in the 20th century. But despite numerous expeditions and the use of advanced technologies, the city remained elusive. Dense jungles, harsh terrain, and a lack of accurate maps made it nearly impossible to locate. But in 2015, a team of explorers, led by archaeologist Chris Fisher, finally uncovered what they had been searching for. Using LiDAR technology, an advanced form of radar that can penetrate dense vegetation, the team identified structures deep in the heart of the jungle that matched descriptions of the lost city. The images revealed a vast network of streets, plazas, and buildings, all perfectly aligned with the natural contours of the landscape. It was a discovery that would change the way we understood the ancient civilizations of Central America. When the explorers made their way to the site, they found what seemed like the remnants of a once great city. Large platforms and pyramids, all constructed with precision and skill, were scattered across the area, and evidence of ancient infrastructure, including canals and water systems, suggested a highly organized society. The most striking feature of the site, however, was its unique blend of architectural styles, combining elements from various pre-Columbian cultures, such as the Maya and the Olmec. This fusion of styles suggested that the city was a cultural crossroads, where different traditions and influences converged, creating a distinct and complex civilization. The lost city's architecture and layout were reminiscent of other ancient Mesoamerican cities, but there were also features that set it apart. The site's construction was notably sophisticated, with a highly organized urban plan and elaborate ceremonial spaces. The city was built in harmony with its natural surroundings, making use of the area's topography to create an awe-inspiring layout. Platforms and plazas were designed to align with the movement of the sun and stars, suggesting a deep understanding of astronomy and a connection to the cosmos. This alignment with the natural world was a hallmark of many Mesoamerican cultures, and it further suggested that the lost city was not just a place of habitation, but also a spiritual and religious center. But as with many ancient sites, the mystery of the lost city of the monkey god goes beyond its architecture. What makes this discovery even more fascinating is the way it was abandoned and forgotten. Unlike other ancient cities that left behind detailed records or written histories, the lost city left behind little evidence of its demise. No inscriptions or artifacts provided clues as to why the city was abandoned, and no definitive explanation has emerged as to what happened to its inhabitants. The city's sudden disappearance, coupled with a lack of written records, has left researchers to piece together the history of the site through physical evidence alone. One theory suggests that the city's abandonment was caused by environmental factors. The Muskesha region, where the lost city is located, is subject to extreme rainfall and seasonal flooding. The area's rivers often swell and flood, making agriculture difficult, and there is evidence that the ancient inhabitants of the city relied heavily on farming for sustenance. A series of prolonged droughts or flooding could have led to the collapse of the city's agricultural systems, forcing its people to abandon their homes and seek refuge elsewhere. This environmental collapse may have been exacerbated by the pressures of growing populations and resource scarcity, leading to social instability and the eventual decline of the city. Another theory suggests that the city was abandoned due to external pressures, such as conflict with neighboring tribes or political upheaval. The region's history is marked by warfare between various indigenous groups, and the lost city of the monkey god may have been caught up in these conflicts. If the city was a powerful cultural or religious center, it may have been targeted by rival groups seeking to control its resources or its influence. Evidence of human remains at the site, including signs of trauma and violence, has fueled this theory, suggesting that the city's downfall may have been the result of a violent conflict or conquest. Despite the challenges and mysteries surrounding its abandonment, the lost city of the monkey god holds one of the greatest treasures of all, its artifacts. In the years following its rediscovery, archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of artifacts at the site, many of which are exquisitely crafted and offer valuable insights into the culture of the people who live there. Most notably, the site yielded a number of intricate stone carvings, including representations of monkeys, jaguars, and other animals that held symbolic significance in the city's culture. These carvings were found on stelae, ceremonial altars, and monuments, all of which provide clues about the religious and spiritual beliefs of the people who once inhabited the city. The abundance of these carvings has led researchers to speculate that the lost city of the monkey god may have been a center for animal worship, or perhaps a place where shamans and priests conducted sacred rituals. Perhaps most intriguing of all is the discovery of gold artifacts at the site. Gold, which was highly prized by many Mesoamerican cultures, has been found in the form of small figurines, jewelry, and ceremonial objects. These items suggest that the lost city of the monkey god was not only a cultural and religious center, but also a place of great wealth and influence. The discovery of these treasures raises even more questions about the city's rise and fall. How did the city accumulate such wealth? And what happened to the treasures that were once housed there? The absence of any definitive explanation for the city's decline leaves these questions hanging in the air, offering a tantalizing glimpse into a lost world of mystery and intrigue. In many ways, the lost city of the monkey god is a microcosm of the larger mysteries of ancient civilizations. It represents a society that flourished, created remarkable works of art and architecture, and amassed great wealth and power, only to fade away without a trace. The discovery of the city offers valuable lessons about the fragility of civilizations, the complex interplay of culture, environment, and politics, and the enduring allure of the unknown. The city's secrets, buried deep within the jungle, remind us that there is still so much we don't know about the past, and that the mysteries of the ancient world are far from being solved. The lost city of the monkey god is not just a tale of ancient ruins and long-forgotten treasures. It is a story of resilience, mystery, and the untold stories of the people who lived and thrived in one of the most remote and rugged regions of the world. As researchers continue to uncover more artifacts and explore the site, We may one day uncover the final pieces of the puzzle that will reveal the full story of the lost city and the civilization that built it. Until then, the city will remain a tantalizing enigma, beckoning us to search deeper, to look beyond the surface, and to uncover the mysteries that have been hidden for centuries in the heart of the jungle. Beneath the frigid waters of the Mediterranean Sea, just off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, rests an object that has baffled scientists and historians for over a century. The Antikythera mechanism, often referred to as the world's first analog computer, was discovered in 1901 by sponge divers. This mysterious device, a complex array of bronze gears and intricate inscriptions, dates back to around 100 BCE and has revolutionized our understanding of ancient technology. It has been hailed as a mechanical marvel far ahead of its time, with capabilities that were not replicated for over a millennium. But what was its true purpose? And how did the ancient Greeks, with their seemingly limited technology, manage to create such a sophisticated and precise instrument? The Antikythera mechanism was found in a shipwreck that had likely occurred in the 1st century BCE. At first, it appeared to be nothing more than a pile of corroded bronze fragments, but closer examination revealed something astonishing. The fragments were part of a sophisticated machine, with a series of interlocking gears that allowed it to perform complex astronomical calculations. The device consists of a set of gears that mesh together in a way that allows it to track the movements of celestial bodies, predict eclipses, and calculate the cycles of the moon and sun. It was clearly a tool of immense complexity, one that required a deep understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and mechanical engineering. The mechanism consists of a main dial and several smaller ones, each with its own set of gears. The primary dial, which is the most visible and accessible part of the mechanism, displays the positions of the sun and the moon, as well as their movements through the zodiac. The smaller dials indicate the cycles of the moon, including its phases and its position relative to the sun. The back of the mechanism contains additional dials and inscriptions that are believed to have represented the movements of the planets and the stars. Some scholars speculate that the device was used to predict the timing of various astronomical events, such as eclipses, solstices, and equinoxes, which were crucial for ancient agricultural and religious practices. The precision and complexity of the Antikythera mechanism raise several important questions. How did the ancient Greeks, without the benefit of modern technology or knowledge, create such a sophisticated device? The gears themselves are made from bronze, a metal that was widely used in antiquity, but the intricacy of the gearwork suggests a level of craftsmanship and technical expertise that was unknown to most other ancient civilizations. In fact, it wasn't until the Middle Ages that similar devices were developed, leading many to wonder how the Greeks were able to achieve such advanced technology so far ahead of their time. One possibility is that the Antikythera mechanism was the result of knowledge passed down from an even older, lost civilization. Some researchers have suggested that the mechanism may have been influenced by knowledge from ancient Mesopotamia or Egypt, where advanced astronomical observations were already being made. The Greeks were known to have had access to a wide range of knowledge through trade and cultural exchange, and it is possible that the device was the culmination of centuries of astronomical study, distilled into a single, highly advanced machine. Another possibility is that the Antikythera mechanism was the product of a singular genius or a small group of highly skilled individuals. Ancient Greece was home to some of the greatest minds of the ancient world, including Archimedes, Euclid, and Pythagoras, whose works in mathematics and science laid the foundations for many of the technologies we take for granted today. It is possible that the mechanism was created by one of these brilliant minds or by a team of engineers working in relative secrecy to create a device that could harness the movements of the stars. The fact that the Antikythera mechanism was so well-crafted and precise suggests that it was the work of individuals with deep knowledge of both mathematics and engineering, capable of executing their designs with a level of skill that was rare even in their time. Despite the remarkable nature of the Antikythera mechanism, the true purpose of the device remains unclear. Some have argued that it was a form of astronomical calendar, used to predict the movements of the planets and the stars for religious or agricultural purposes. The ancient Greeks, like many ancient civilizations, closely linked their understanding of the cosmos to their daily lives. The timing of harvests, the scheduling of festivals, and the interpretation of omens all depended on the movements of the celestial bodies. The Antikythera mechanism could have been a tool for predicting these events with unprecedented precision, allowing its users to align their activities with the natural rhythms of the universe. Others have suggested that the Antikythera mechanism may have had a more practical purpose, such as assisting sailors in navigating the seas. In ancient Greece, maritime trade was a vital part of the economy, and the ability to predict the movements of the stars would have been invaluable for navigation. The mechanism's intricate system of gears and dials could have been used to calculate the positions of the stars, helping sailors find their way across the Mediterranean. This theory is supported by the fact that the shipwreck where the mechanism was discovered was part of a trading vessel, indicating that the device may have been part of the ship's cargo. However, despite the many theories surrounding its use, there is still much that remains unknown about the Antikythera mechanism. In recent years, advancements in imaging technology, such as X-ray tomography, have allowed researchers to study the device in greater detail, revealing new aspects of its design and function. These studies have uncovered additional inscriptions on the mechanism's surfaces, some of which seem to describe the various astronomical cycles that the device was designed to track. Yet, even with this new information, the full purpose of the Antikythera mechanism remains a matter of debate. Was it an astronomical calculator, a tool for navigation, a religious artifact, or something else entirely? What is perhaps most remarkable about the Antikythera mechanism is the fact that, even in its fragmented state, it reveals a glimpse of a level of technological sophistication that was previously thought to be unattainable in the ancient world. The device demonstrates not only an understanding of the heavens, but also an advanced understanding of mechanical engineering. The gears are made with an astonishing level of precision, and the way they interlock and turn together suggests a level of ingenuity and skill that was rare, even in the most advanced civilizations of antiquity. The Antikythera mechanism challenges our perceptions of ancient technology and reminds us that there are still many mysteries waiting to be uncovered. It stands as a testament to the capabilities of ancient civilizations, a reminder that even in the distant past, people were capable of creating remarkable and sophisticated technologies. And yet, it also serves as a reminder of how much we still don't know about the ancient world. As we continue to study the device, new questions emerge, and the mysteries surrounding it deepen. What other lost technologies might lie buried beneath the sands of time, waiting to be rediscovered? What else might the Antikythera mechanism reveal about the lost knowledge of the ancients? Only time will tell, but for now, the Antikythera mechanism remains one of the most intriguing and enduring enigmas in the history of human invention. In the heart of the Egyptian desert, a strange and seemingly insignificant mound of sand conceals one of the most profound mysteries of the ancient world. The Great Sphinx of Giza, a colossal stone statue with the body of a lion and the face of a pharaoh, stands silently in the shadow of the pyramids. For centuries, it has gazed out over the desert, guarding the ancient tombs of the kings. Yet, despite its monumental size and its place as one of the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egypt, the Sphinx holds secrets that continue to elude historians, archaeologists, and scholars. Who built the Sphinx? When was it constructed? And perhaps most perplexingly, why has its true purpose remained so shrouded in mystery? The Sphinx is a marvel of ancient engineering, standing 66 feet tall and 240 feet long. Carved from a single mass of limestone, it depicts a regal creature that is half lion, half human, a creature that embodies the power, wisdom, and authority of the ancient pharaohs. Its face, thought to resemble the likeness of the pharaoh Khafre, who ruled during the Old Kingdom of Egypt, adds to its mystique. It is positioned directly in front of the pyramid complex of Giza, with its gaze fixed eastward, as if eternally watching over the land. The sheer scale and grandeur of the Sphinx suggest it was created for a purpose of great importance, Yet no definitive record exists to explain why it was built or what it was meant to represent. The most commonly accepted theory is that the Sphinx was constructed during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, around 2500 BCE, as part of his funerary complex. The Sphinx, with its lion's body, is often seen as a symbol of royal power and strength, and it may have been intended to guard the pyramids and the tombs of the pharaohs. In ancient Egypt, lions were often associated with the sun god Ra, and their fierce presence was believed to ward off evil spirits. The Sphinx, then, may have been conceived as a powerful guardian, an imposing figure that stood watch over the sacred burial grounds, ensuring the protection of the pharaohs and their passage into the afterlife. Yet, despite this widely accepted theory, there are many aspects of the Sphinx that do not fit neatly into the historical narrative. For one, there is no clear evidence to confirm the identity of the pharaoh who commissioned the statue. While the face of the Sphinx is often attributed to Khafre, some scholars argue that it may actually depict a different ruler or even a different time period entirely. Some believe that the Sphinx could have been built much earlier than traditionally thought, possibly by an earlier, unknown civilization. In fact, some researchers suggest that the Sphinx could have been carved long before the time of Khafre, possibly as early as 10,000 BCE, based on geological evidence that indicates erosion patterns on the statue that are consistent with water damage, which would not have occurred during the dry climate of Khafre's reign. If this theory is true, it would suggest that the Sphinx predates the dynastic Egyptians and could be the work of a lost civilization whose knowledge and achievements were forgotten over time. This theory is supported by the so-called water erosion hypothesis, proposed by geologist Robert Schoch. Schoch argues that the weathering patterns on the Sphinx, particularly the deep erosion on the lower parts of the monument, indicate that it was subjected to heavy rainfall, something that would have been impossible during the dry conditions of ancient Egypt, especially during the time of Khafre. According to Schoch, the erosion patterns suggest that the Sphinx was carved at a time when the region experienced a much wetter climate, perhaps as far back as the end of the last ice age. If this hypothesis is correct, it would radically change our understanding of the history of ancient Egypt and the timeline of its monuments. It would suggest that the Sphinx, far from being a product of the Old Kingdom, is instead the relic of a much older civilization that may have been wiped out by a changing climate or other catastrophic events. Despite the allure of this theory, it remains highly controversial. Many Egyptologists reject the idea that the Sphinx is much older than the traditional dating of the Old Kingdom, pointing to the lack of any concrete evidence for a pre-dynastic civilization in Egypt. They argue that the erosion could have been caused by other factors, such as wind or sand, rather than rainfall. Nevertheless, the debate over the age of the Sphinx remains unresolved, and it is just one of many mysteries surrounding this iconic monument. Another enigma surrounding the Sphinx is its alignment and the purpose it served in the broader religious and cosmic context of ancient Egypt. The Sphinx is oriented in such a way that it faces directly toward the rising sun, specifically the sun's position during the spring equinox. In ancient Egyptian cosmology, the sun was of immense importance, representing life, rebirth, and divine order. The Sphinx, therefore, may have been more than just a guardian of the tombs. It could have been a symbolic representation of the solar deity, a physical embodiment of the god Ra. This connection to the sun and its cycles ties into the broader religious and astronomical practices of the ancient Egyptians, who believed that the movements of the heavens held deep spiritual significance. The role of the Sphinx as a cosmic symbol raises the question of how it was used in religious rituals. While no written records have survived that explain the specific religious practices associated with the Sphinx, it is likely that the monument played a role in the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife. In ancient Egyptian belief, the pharaoh was considered the living god on earth, the intermediary between the gods and the people. The construction of grand monuments like the pyramids and the Sphinx was meant to ensure that the pharaoh would be remembered and revered for eternity. The Sphinx, as a lion-headed guardian, may have symbolized the power of the pharaoh in the afterlife, ensuring that the ruler's spirit would be protected as it journeyed through the realm of the gods. The Sphinx also fits into the broader architectural and symbolic context of the Giza Plateau, which was designed with a clear religious purpose. The pyramids themselves are aligned with the stars in the constellation Orion, which was associated with the god Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The Sphinx, positioned in front of the pyramids, could have been a key element in the pharaoh's spiritual journey, acting as both a protector and a guide. The connection between the Sphinx, the pyramids, and the stars suggests that the ancient Egyptians had an advanced understanding of astronomy and cosmology, and that they used this knowledge to design a landscape that was not just a funerary complex, but a cosmic representation of the afterlife. However, despite its prominence and significance, the Sphinx has suffered considerable damage over the centuries. Weathering, human activity, and even deliberate destruction have all taken their toll on the statue. The most notable of these is the loss of the Sphinx's nose, which was likely destroyed by either cannon fire during a military campaign or deliberate erosion over time. The Sphinx's nose, which is now a widely recognized feature of its missing form, has been the subject of much speculation, with some claiming it was destroyed by iconoclasts or foreign invaders seeking to deface Egyptian symbols of power. In addition to the damage sustained over the centuries, the Sphinx has been the subject of numerous restoration attempts. These efforts, which began as early as the 19th century, have sought to repair the damage done to the statue by both nature and human hands. Despite these attempts, however, much of the original grandeur of the Sphinx has been lost, and much of its history remains obscured. The restoration efforts, while valuable, have also raised questions about the ethics of restoring ancient monuments and the risk of erasing or altering the historical record.